Hey guys, and welcome to part 49 of Let's Play Pokemon SoulSilver. In the last part we caught Ho-Ho and that was pretty cool. Ho-Ho, no-ho, so-ho? Yeah, we caught that stupid bird, so now we have to do the Elite Four again. And straight away I will say that I did speed up these battles, and in fact all 4 battles are going to be in this part, because I just kind of sped them up, because I mean the main reason was that I already did this, and it would have been way too much effort and these videos would have been way too long, and you know, I'm getting towards the end of the LP and you can still kind of see what's going on here, so yeah, I kind of sped them up. Now before this battle I did a lot of leveling up and training, and I also went out and got particular items to give to my Pokemon. You know, I made sure I had enough hyper potions and revives and you know, all that kind of stuff, so I'm not going to go into as much detail about all the preparation I did here, but I will say that I did a lot of training at the Mount Silver, because that's where the highest level wild Pokemon are, and I did do some leveling around Kanto, and then I did buy some like protein and iron and things like that. So yeah, so let's just get into these battles. Now the cool thing about fighting the Elite Four again is that they have new Pokemon instead of the original 4 that they have. I think it's 4 that they have the first time round. They have 6 now. Now one thing I want to kind of say and recommend is that if you want to train for the Elite Four, the point when the Elite Four changes is when you get 16 badges. So if you want to do some training off the original set of the Elite Four, you know, do it when you have like 15 badges or so, and it's definitely worthwhile your time, I would say anyway, because you get more XP of trainers. So if you want to do a load of training, do that. And it's something that I was kind of annoyed at myself about, that I didn't do some training off the Elite Four, you know, when I had the chance, because honestly I didn't think it would take this long, but it took me hours to train up my Pokemon, hours and hours. It took so long. I just had to kind of sit at my laptop and just keep grinding at Mount Silver, and yeah, I also did these battles quite a lot. So the reason why I'm not talking about this first battle is that I got this down to a T. I think that's a golf term, in fact. Yeah, about what to do against Will, because he always has psychic Pokemon, and like before, I just went on to Psypoke. I think that's what it's called, Psypoke walkthroughs. You know, I went on to that walkthrough and brought up everyone's stats, because on Bulbapedia they don't have the rematches like Pokemon and what they're like. So yeah, if you want to know all the different weaknesses to all the different Pokemon, I recommend going to Psypokes, I think that's what it's called, and go to their walkthrough, because that's what I used. So also, I'm not going to go over all the different moves that my Pokemon have learned, but I will say this: York's moveset is awesome. He still knows Cut, and that's kind of disappointing, but he learned Shadow Claw, and the reason why I taught him Shadow Claw is because he has very high attack, but doesn't really have any good attacks, and Shadow Claw is a really good move, and Ghost type is just really helpful to have, or definitely against Will, who's a Psychic type. It meant that I could just, instead of sending out Mr. Sublime to take on the Psychics, I also had my other Pokemon that I could kind of rely on. Because I'll be honest, Mr. Sublime wasn't too great this time around. He wasn't bad, but last time he was like the guy, because Psychic was so strong. But this time around I found that Mr. Sublime kind of sucked against these battles. He didn't really, you know, come into handy that much. So straight away with Skuntank, I used E-Rock because it's weak against ground type, and if it uses Dig and you use Earthquake, it does twice the damage, so there was no way this Skuntank was actually going to live through this. In fact, there's also a chance that when I hit it initially with Earthquake, even if it wasn't using Dig, I would still kill it with Earthquake. So his next Pokemon is Toxicroak, which is part fighting type, so naturally I kind of went with Hawkins. Now I did these battles a lot, so that's part of the reason why I did more training, because initially I tried this with level 58 Pokemon, but I found out that I just kept coming up short with the one-hit KOs. So this time around, because Hawkins level 60, then I managed to hit it with Fly, and you know, that took it out in one, where previously it didn't. So this is his toughest Pokemon, Swalot, which I think is a 3rd generation, don't quote me on that. And this Pokemon could be a pain in the ass if you let it, because it has leftovers, so it keeps healing itself, and it has amnesia, so it keeps bulking itself up, and it's just kind of a really annoying Pokemon. So once again, I leveled up my Mr. Sublime so I could hit it with one Psychic and kill it in one. Next Pokemon is Venomoth, which is very easy to take down. You know, it's a bug type, so I just hit it with, you know, York and used a fire type move. There really isn't that much to that one anyway. And his second to final Pokemon is Crobat, which is incredibly quick. So I found the best strategy is that this Crobat knows Fly, so what I would always do is that I would always use Charge, and then afterwards use a Thunderbolt to guarantee to kill it. And most of the times what happened is that it would use Fly, and then I would be able to hit it, but the Fluff was weak, and yeah, and couldn't take the cross poisons, so that plan didn't kind of work this time. But you know, the majority of the time that did work out. I think Crobat used cross poison because, you know, the Fluff was weak. But also the good thing about Fly, if it hit the Fluff, then there's a chance it would be paralysed. So my backup plan for the Crobat was Mr. Sublime, because Psychic is strong against poison. And this is the only Pokemon that, you know, gave me any real trouble. Not that much trouble if I'm being honest, but this Muk can be really annoying, because it knows Minimize, Toxic, and it also has Black Sludge, which is effectively the same as Leftovers, but I think it only applies to so many Pokemon, so I think Muk is one of the few Pokemon where Black Sludge is a good thing to give it. So at this point I was now like, right, I just got to keep hitting it with Sidekicks and just hope. And Kogan, however you say your name, it still has 2 full restores. Will only has 1 full restore, which is kind of nice, but yeah, this guy has 2. So yeah, so both my plans kind of didn't work out that well. And because Mega Dude is going to be important for later, I decided to send him out to take on Muk and finish it off to get the XP, because I need Mega Dude to be as leveled up as it can be, and you're gonna see why in the next part, actually, not in this part, because this part is only the Elite of 4. So that's halfway done. So the next guy is Bruno, and this guy is a lot harder than I remember him being. I remember, I think in my initial run of the original Elite Four, when they had their weaker Pokemon, I think only Hitmonlee gave me any real trouble, but this guy really did mess me up a lot of times. I'd had a lot more trouble than I thought I would. So of course I started out with Mr. Sublime, because fighting types are weak against Sidekick and Flying, so on paper I should have no trouble at all, and I think this run went relatively smoothly. But I still, this fight is a lot harder than you would expect, because Bruno is, you know, especially in the first generation, he's like the easiest guy to take out because of his weak, stupid Onix. But yeah, this time he's a lot more, you know, a lot worse to, you know, take on. So against this Pokemon I used the Fluff because it wasn't that, you know, Thunderbolt could do a lot of damage to this thing, and I kind of needed Hawkins and Mr. Sublime and their super effective attacks to take on the other Pokemon. So with the Fluff I just hit it with a couple Thunderbolts, and well, I didn't take it out as you just saw, but yeah, I kind of needed to I was saving my other Pokemon, because Hawkins actually wasn't that useful in this at all, because Hawkins knows Fly, and Fly is a good move, but Fly is a physical move, so that means a lot of these Pokemon here can just take the hit, and even if it's super effective it can take the hit just fine. It's why I sent Mr. Sublime out against Hitmontop and not Hawkins, because I wasn't sure if Hawkins could actually kill it in one, and most of the time he couldn't. So yeah, so I decided to just finish it off with Mr. Sublime, because this that Pokemon had already used Bulk Up, so there was a good chance it could do some serious damage if I didn't take it down. So I decided to send out Hawkins, and this Pokemon knows, or Machamp knows Stone Edge, which is super effective against Hawkins, and if I hadn't used Feather Dance, then it probably would have killed me right there, and I probably wouldn't have, you know, been able to survive this long. I mean, ultimately it was a fool's errand, and I knew really that Fly wasn't going to do the damage, but you know, what I should have done is use another Feather Dance and then heal up Hawkins. That is what I should have done, but that didn't happen. So, because that's the only problem with Stone Edge, it can still hit you when you fly. So if it didn't know that attack, then Hawkins would be able to take out Machamp just fine by itself, but Stone Edge is what completely messes it up. So once again I sent out Mega Dude because I need Mega Dude to be leveled up. Yeah, so I sent out Mega Dude to finish off Machamp, and I was having none of Hitmonlee's, you know, nonsense. Not this time. Not this time. He messed me around last time, but not this time. So just hit it with a Psychic and took it out straight away. So this is a Pokemon that can give you a lot of trouble, but didn't give me a lot of trouble because York knows Eruption, which is I think 140 power, but you only get 5 of them, and it depends on how much health you have is how effective it is. So if you're at full health, then you do 140 damage, or it's 140 power, but if you're like half health, then I don't think it's half that, but it's, you know, it's still less. So because Lucario is part Steel type, I managed to hit with an Eruption, which is a really powerful attack, and York is a really good Pokemon, so I managed to take it out. And then his last Pokemon, Hitmonchan, I just once again, you know, used Mr. Sublime, because that's the good thing with Mr. Sublime. It's, you know, a Psychic type and can use Psychic, you know, and it's really high special attack, so it can take out most of the fighting types, because none of them are really that high special defense. But it's also quick, so it's quicker than most of those Pokemon, so I did manage to take it out that way. Although I will say this, my Pokemon are level 60, but a lot of that is just to assure that I win. I probably could have done this Elite Four with my Pokemon being a lot lower level, but I wanted this run to go relatively smoothly, so that's why my Pokemon are level 60. So you can probably do this at about level, you know, probably 57 plus. But yeah, my Pokemon are 60 just to be sure. So her first Pokemon is Weavile, which is part fire or part ice type, so I just hit it with Eruption. And this Spiritomb is really, it can really mess you up if you're not careful. Because this Pokemon's interesting because, I mean, it's just a Ghastly in a bag. But also, it has no weaknesses. It's Ghost/Dark type, so it's one of the only Pokemon, if maybe the only Pokemon, that has no weaknesses. But the thing is, what gives you an advantage is that it's not, you know, it's not very high special defense, or it doesn't have high special defense, and also it uses Curse, which cuts its health in half, or, you know, takes away half of its health, because it's relative to its full health, not what health it has. So it eventually will kill itself with Curse, but, you know, it can give you a lot of troubles. So she has this Pokemon, oh god, I don't know, stupid Dark Bird, that's what it's called. And this Pokemon is Dark/Flying type, so obviously the Fluff was a natural choice, but the Fluff was down, so because of the Curse, so I had to kind of heal it up. So I sent out Hawkins because I thought, you know, maybe Hawkins could get the job done. Ultimately he didn't, so I had to send out the Fluff. Now this is the Pokemon out of all the Pokemon that could have been in this Elite Four, I did not want an Umbreon. I hate Umbreon, they're so irritating to fight, they're just so annoying. Because unless you have like something that's weak or is super effective against Dark, Bug, you know, Bug is the main one that you want here. Unless you have that, this Umbreon is such a pain. I hate this bloody thing because its attacks are so annoying. Payback is such a powerful attack, it will just mess you up. And then also, this Payback is just so annoying, so irritating. And I really didn't have that much, you know, didn't have that many ways to take this thing out. So it was a case that I just had to keep trying and hoping that it was going to go down. So with that one, I didn't have any real tactic to taking on that Umbreon. I just kind of kept sending my most powerful Pokemon at it, and just, you know, if they died, they died, I guess. So her next Pokemon is Absol, which is a good Pokemon, but the thing is, I didn't really have any major plans to take this thing out. I don't really have anything that's good against this Pokemon because it's purely Dark type. So I kind of decided to try Mr. Sublime, see what Mr. Sublime could do, because Psychic is non-effective against Dark type. So I hit it with Shadow Ball, which wasn't super effective, didn't really do much, but I thought it was worth a shot. Probably should have used a Light Screen. But now I get stuck in this weird loop where I want Mega Dude to win this. I want Mega Dude to take out this Absol to get the experience, but Absol is really good. So now I'm just using Hyper Potions to keep Mega Dude in the game, and the only thing I was really afraid of here is if Absol got a critical hit, because a critical hit would have taken Mega Dude out. So I just kind of kept trying, kept healing it. I had York healed as a backup just in case. But now I kind of screwed myself because her last Pokemon is Houndoom, which can really, again, mess you up if you're not careful. Because it has this attack, I can't remember what it's called, it is going to use it. It has this attack that really buffs it up and it becomes super strong. So I sent out York so I had time to hit up Mega Dude. And I sent out E-Rock I guess. Yeah, nasty plot. Yeah, that really bulks it up. So I just hit it with an explosion to, you know, nip it in the bud. And with that, that's the Elite Four defeated. So, you know, it's pretty tricky, but it's not too bad. So, next time in Let's Play Pokemon Soul Silver, we are going to take on the champion once more. So, I've been HonestTom23. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and join me for part 50.